Let me focus on my face. There we go. It's a little bright. Avengers Endgame just came out, and I just saw it. This is a non-spoiler review. There will be a spoiler review, believe me, because there's a lot to unpack with this movie. My goodness me. I am just doing this review off the cuff, and again, no spoilers for this video. I will not give away a single thing about this movie. I'm trying to think about how to unpack it. I mean, where do I start? That's probably the best thing. What I think. This is some movie. It's some feat, I will say. It has to, the scale and the scope of this movie and what it is trying to accomplish, going off the coattails and the way that Infinity War ended, it's got a lot of ground to cover if it wants to conclude, and as this has been the kind of, the end game, if you will, the conclusion of this 22 film arc, if you will, of the Infinity Stone, storyline. And in that section, it knocks it out of the park. Do I have some gripes? Yeah, I'll get into those in a bit. They're kind of spoilery, but I won't spoil them. I'll just vaguely try and talk about how my feelings about it. And I can do that. I'll get more into depth in the spoiler review. The movie's 3 hours long. And to some, that can feel daunting. I felt the runtime a bit, but also I just got off work not that long before. And then I saw it in IMAX. It was loud, it was big, it was bold. This is a movie, and that's why I'm drinking something right now, because I have a headache after watching this movie. But not like a headache as in like, oh, that was a lot. It was a lot. This movie has a pace that you're not expecting. And almost in times, and this is one of my issues with it, a sort of predictability of it. There's only so many directions you can take the story. What I think the filmmakers, the Russo brothers, and their writing partners, Marcus McFeely, I think they do a good job of connecting this to the other films, keeping the characters consistent. I feel like they also take them to another level. We don't forget about things that have happened in the past because, well, they're still relevant. We don't forget about Tony Stark and Captain America's relationship and how it's been fractured over the last couple of films. We don't forget about those things. Those things are still there. I think the humor in it, I'm bouncing around a bit here, but I think the humor in it is sometimes a hindrance. Sometimes. There's a lot of humor. And it comes in unexpected places. There are a lot of wow moments in this movie. A lot of wow moments, a lot of moments you're just like, oh, they're just doing this now, okay. This is the direction that we're going in. And I'd say that if I had to break down the acts, there's 3 acts, really. I won't say what happens in each, that's obviously a spoiler, but the first act is pretty slow, okay? It's setup, as most first acts are. It's a lot of setup, and in many respects, the whole film deals with the fallout of the previous, but the first act definitely. Probably on a level that is more human and personal and emotional. And you get it. Second act, action. Third act is bonkers. You'll know it when you see it. And you'll be able to, after the film, you'll be able to, okay, I can characterize each in what they are. if I had to characterize this movie, it's bold. Bold is probably the best word to describe it. It's ambitious. It's superiorly climactic. And it's everything this type of movie should be and should aspire to be. Once the credits started rolling, there's no end credits, by the way. Once the credits started to roll, and I got up, stretched. These IMAX seats they cram you in there. I mean, I was feeling people behind me like moving a bit. Like it was very cramped, unlike Dolby Cinema and the other just regular cinemas around. It was very cramped. There was a lot of people in that movie theater. It was packed, yeah. So, I mean, people were cheering when they were supposed to cheer, laughing, hooting, hollering, all this kind of stuff. And it felt a lot like the experience I had a year ago watching Infinity War. I think that this movie, again, this movie's gonna make like all the money in the world. This movie's I'm gonna probably see it again at some point. I'm not gonna see it right away. I need some time to marinate in it and really think about it. Because it's a lot. There's a lot going on in this movie. And I can definitely get into that in a spoiler conversation, but there's a lot going on in this movie. And I think that if you were not a fan of how much was going on in the previous film, Infinity War, you're not going to be a fan of this. Because there was a lot going on in that movie, and there's a lot going on in this movie. So, there's that. I think that as a fan of the series, I got it all. I got it. The emotional beats were hit for me. Right off the bat, they were hit. The emotional beats, stakes were hit. Things were set up very well in the previous films. And I think the Russo brothers, I think for everything that the MCU lacks, I think they lack at times not great musical scores, not moving moments. They undercut it with humor at times. And they often too much, in my opinion. And their character arcs, characters don't, like, there's no finality, in a way. I think that the finality of this film, being the final of a 22 film arc, if you will, because there's more movies coming, obviously. But the finale of this 22 film story is worthy. It's very worthy. It is everything I've said it is. It's difficult to talk about it, and if I'm sorry if it seemed maybe like I told a spoiler maybe here or there. I tried not to. But would I recommend it? Yes, highly. I say, you know, there are things you have to see with a crowd in a theater. This is one of them. And if you don't do that, you're missing out. Sorry. Because y'all have no idea what you're about to watch. No idea. So, that's just the non-spoiler review. Come back later for a spoiler talk where Andrew's head explodes because, yeah, that's a lot of movie. I'll see y'all. Bye.